You know, I think Dynasty Warriors Origins was actually in my running for Game of the Year last year for me. Granted, a big reason for that is that I didn't play many new games released in 2025 last year. Like, I didn't play any of the big hitters, and so because of that, it's only really this game and like one other that are in contention for me. So when Origins had a DLC announced, I was pretty jazzed about it. Love a reason to return to any game I like. And it even added new trophies. That's like my thing, it's like they knew. So naturally, I went for all of them. Slight spoiler warning, there's gonna be some spoilers I talk about for the main game, but if you're watching the DLC video, I'm assuming you've played the main game, so that's not a worry. Before tryharding the trophies though, I needed to beat the main story of the DLC. It's really 4 different stories, one for each of the other leaders. You start with only Zhang Jiao, but you get the other 3 upon its completion. They're basically what-if stories of if your character joined their armies instead of any of the main 3. Zhuhe is also here the whole game, which at first I thought was weird because she was very much dead in the main game, but then I remembered that this DLC is framed as a dream from the protagonist, so I guess having her around is fine. Weird things happen in dreams all the time, please don't tell me yours. I don't have a lot to say on the stories themselves though. They very much feel in line with the main game tonally. Only thing that I was kinda disappointed by was the length of them. Each of them is only like 5 battles, and because of this, that does make the character arcs pretty condensed and not super fleshed out. It's not bad, it's serviceable, but it would have been nice to have just a bit more with these ill-fated characters. The Zhang Jiao one was probably my favourite narratively, but all of them basically just let you play battles from the main game, but from the other side. So as an example, you play as the Yellow Turbans in the same battlefield as the main game, or you play as Dong Zhuo's forces at Hulao Gate. This is one of those things that was sorely missing in the main game, as there was no free mode, so I'm glad that you can at least do it now in more of the major battles, particularly early. For the most part though, the gameplay hasn't changed. It's very much like the main game, which was already really solid. I mean, there's a couple of new weapon types, but that doesn't really affect how you play the game. Still no club, throwing knives, or war fan for the main character, despite the enemies using them though, which is kinda weird to be honest. There is a new skill tree, but I managed to max it before beating all 4 of the stories, so that's one less thing to worry about, as yes, you do need to max it for a trophy. The only new thing they tried to do gameplay-wise is the strategic battles. How these work is you're on the overworld and you have to go to one of the little battles around to thin the enemy troops down before the final battle of the segment, and along the way you'll get unique skills exclusive to be used in the current strategic battle, and this is the first time that I needed to somewhat go out of my way for trophies. First off, there's defeating an enemy with a unit action. This is a skill that is used on the overworld that damages the enemies. It's not difficult to do, you might need to skip a turn so your allies slightly deplete their health, but the game tells you how much damage your skill will do, so just don't use it until you guarantee get the KO. It's like catching Pokemon, kind of. The other 2 trophies are to do with the secret tactics which are used in battle. First of these is just for using each of the 14 secret skills. I just used the skills whenever I got them. There's none hidden out of the way or anything, so provided you defeat all the enemies in each of the stories, you will get them all no worries. The other one is for defeating 1000 enemies with secret arts. They don't all do damage, there's some defensive ones, but the ones that do cover a massive area, they're like bombardments. If you use them in enemy large forces as an example, you'll get this pretty easy. The only annoying oversight I'm going to call it with these battles is that you can't select them from the mission select after you beat the stories. The only way to replay these strategic battles, either for the trophies or for the new trainings for the DLC, is to replay the story as a whole until you get to that point. I guess I'll quickly say on the trainings, they're very much like the ones from the main game. Get a certain amount of KOs with different weapons or use tactics, just little small tasks like that. I don't have anything to add on them, they were pretty easy. Biggest hurdle was probably just not having the new weapons until a bit later on, so I couldn't work on those tasks. The next thing to tick off is the training ground. These are either small arenas or larger battlefields. They're basically just bonus battles though for rewards, but you have to clear every single one of them for a trophy. They might take a while, but in addition to the specific trophy, you also get 2 out of 3 new accessories that you need for another trophy. Where's the 3rd accessory though, I hear you ask? Well, to get it, you're going to have to do everyone's favourite thing from the base game, that being the Ultimate Warrior challenges. The final accessory, 2 new ultimate weapons, and I think like 2 battle skills are locked behind the Ultimate Warrior challenges, and I'd like to tell you that this was a real struggle and a fitting test to end the DLC, but no, I first tried most of them. Not that you have to do all of them, it's only like those 5, because they give you those items I mentioned. Going in already having ultimate weapons from the base game and being a high level made them not trivial, but nowhere near the difficulty of some of the main game ones. The ones I had to retry were the one where you had to rescue Lu Bu, not because the challenge was really difficult or anything, but instead because Diao Chan kept dying way too quickly. This one took 4 attempts. And the other one was Jarpi again, fittingly. It was the hardest one in the main game, it's the hardest one here as well. All I had to do was leave the front line to Lu Bu and beeline Jia Shu and the other enemies in that corner of the map. After that, it was a case of just playing like normal and saving the Yuan Shu reinforcements when they arrived. This one also took 4 attempts. That basically brought an end to anything that could be considered a challenge though. The last thing I had to do was grind all my weapons to rank 12, as the DLC added new levels and importantly new skills that you unlock at those ranks. And of course you need to use all the new skills for a trophy. I just replayed the last training ground trial as there's a ton of enemies for you to defeat and get weapon EXP. It only took like an hour and a half maybe to max out all my weapons from where I was. But with that I had gotten all the new trophies in the Visions of the Four Heroes DLC. So after all that, how did I find the DLC? I quite enjoyed it, but a lot of that was just because I was playing more Dynasty Warriors Origins and not necessarily because of anything the DLC itself did. That's probably a really good way of putting it actually. It is more of the same for the most part. So if you enjoyed the main game, you'll probably like this. The main appeal here is the what if scenarios, and if I could be frank, I do like them, but they should absolutely be longer and more fleshed out. I've seen quite a bit of hullabaloo around the price of the DLC, and I am not going to join in on that. To me, it's very much up to each individual person if they want to spend the money and if they think it's personally worth it based on their own situation. And I am definitely not about to tell someone else how to spend their money, and I really wouldn't want anyone doing that to me either. That's ridiculous. Nothing the DLC adds drastically changes the game, be that the new strategy battles, or the new companions or weapons. It is quite literally just more game. The new trophies are very much in line with this as well, needing you to do similar things to the main game, just on a much smaller scale. The only really boring, out of the way part for the trophies was that final weapon grind, but by the time I had done everything else, it only took me like, as I said, an hour or so to get them to where I needed. Short summary, if you like the game, you'll like the DLC. If you platinum the game, you can easily get the new trophies. I wish the DLC was longer, but other than that, I had a good time. And that's the video. Have you picked up the DLC, or are you waiting for a discount, or just not interested? If you do have it, have you gone for all the trophies? Let me know all that and more in the comments, and while you're down there, why not subscribe? It's free, helps me out, and gives you easier access to my videos, both old and new. There's a video on the main Dynasty Warriors Origins game, as well as other fun stuff you might enjoy. Bit of a shorter video, but I hope people don't mind. There's not too much to talk about, but I still wanted to follow up on the main game. Thank you for watching this video to the end. For now though, I'm off. Hunt them troves. And I'll see you next time.